Hey, it's Adam from Splendid Sports. This is the seventh edition of 3 and 3, where my guest shows three of their favorite cards in their collection. And then we look at three cards that they hope to add to their collection in the future. I am joined by Mr. Sammy Thunder. Sammy, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, Adam? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. I got to give a shout out first to Mike, Junk Wax Hero. He recommended you at the end of our 3 and 3 that I did with him, and I'm happy that we've been able to put this together finally. It took me a while to get in touch with you, but so happy to have you on here. I've been watching a bunch of your videos, and before we get into the cards, I want to just kind of get a brief rundown of your channel. From what I gather, this is not hard to do, but you're a lot more of a what I would call an active hobbyist than me. I'm more of a very lazy hobbyist these days, where I do everything online, all my buying. I do a little selling on eBay, but you are someone who goes to card shows. You buy and sell at card shows. I see you on your videos at flea markets, card shops. So you are definitely out there doing all facets of the hobby. So maybe you could just give us a rundown of what you're up to and what your channel's about.
Yeah, so you hit it right on the head. Essentially, my channel is centralized around the exploration factor, visiting shops, shows, flea markets, tag sales. And personally, I love it. I love doing that. I love being able to kind of provide an experience for those that may not have the access to see the shows or shops. And I've definitely gotten some feedback from some people that they enjoy it because one, it gives them a perspective on what the cost of cards are. Like they can kind of get a better idea of what, if they were to go to a show, how much they should expect to pay. And another thing is just just seeing the variety of tables. So you can go from table to table and see what some of these prices are going for. So you kind of get different perspectives from different sellers.
Yeah, like today I was watching. I think your video came out today, Friday, and I it was the one where you were doing an SGC reveal, and
Yeah.
I think the cards that you were revealing the grades of were from like a couple videos back where you were at a card shop. I think it was like the Village Card Shop or something like that, where
Yeah.
you were buying those raw, and then we get to see the finished product when they're coming back from SGC. So I love stuff like that.
That's another thing. I don't know. I can't really explain the reason why I do it. I think it's just the funness of it is I love buying raw cards. I generally do not like to buy graded cards with there are a few exceptions. I generally like to buy raw cards and inspect them obviously before I make big purchases like that, but I like to buy them raw because I like to send them in myself and kind of predict what the grade is going to be, and then when it comes back, I can do a reveal like I did today. And for the most part, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I've been pretty good at predicting the grades so far. I've been a little off on some of them, but we're all collectors, we're all learning, so you never stop learning in this hobby.
And you're a Boston sports fan.
Yeah, kind of weird being from New York, but I grew up a Boston Celtics fan and a New York Mets fan by proxy. So
Well, just to that video today, I was watching those cards that you were revealing the grades from SGC from, and we had Larry Bird, Tommy Heinsohn. I mean, you had me right there with those two. I mean, as a lifelong Celtics fan, Red Sox fan, Patriots fan, I mean, you got me excited about those cards, seeing those reveals. So I
it's a
always
real
love to see somebody who collects what I do too.
it's a real shame with that Larry Bird though. That was a real
Yeah,
shame.
it came back authentic, right?
Yeah, and again, this is just me my learning curve. I don't buy a lot of Fleer 86, and so I bought one at a show back. I don't want to say, oh god, it must have been April, maybe March or April, and some show in the city. And there was a guy who had a binder, and the entire Fleer set was in there, including the Jordan. I'm thinking the Jordan rookie card was inside bunch of like sleeved pages, and in my mind, I'm thinking, there's no way this one is real. No one in their right mind would leave it in a binder, but you know, I saw the bird, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see what this guy wants for it. And I think I ended up paying like 40 or $50 for it. And again, it's just my learning experience. You have to really inspect the card, and uh, you have to look out for those Sharpies, because they'll be there sometimes.
Yeah, that 86 bird looked great. I mean, it had great centering on it, which is tough in those. Right to left centering was good. So
Right.
I had a similar scenario with cards like that where I got a couple back that, yeah, said was color added, and I bought them raw too, and I couldn't find the. I don't know. I looked them over, and it's so hard. It's so hard to tell, But yeah, it's tough when you get stuff like that.
Yeah, you just have to keep a close eye. There's an app on my phone that I use where it actually works really well. It activates the flash, and you can use it to zoom in, and it doesn't create a shaky, unsteady camera. It actually does a really good job, and you can freeze on a certain portion of the card and capture it as a picture. And I think it's really, really helpful. So I'll have to get that. I'll see if I can get the name of it over to you. It's really useful.
I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to. And if you do, I'll make sure to share it in the notes in the comments too.
Yeah.
So the second part we're going to do here, where we look at 3 of the cards you want to add to your collection. I like to get those up front. So you sent me those, but I also like to keep the 3 of your favorite in your collection as a surprise to me, because I like to not know what they're going to be. So if you're ready, I would love to see the first card of the 3 of your favorite in your collection.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a difficult time just determining this, but I decided to go. The first one is to go with this way, the Topps 1969 second year Nolan Ryan card. So this one I picked up online for on eBay. I think I won it in an auction for about $200. One of my very few eBay auctions. And so, I mean, the card is in really nice shape overall. The back of it's nice. There's some minor issues with it, but as far as centering goes, it's pretty nice. And so I sent it in, got it graded, and came back a 5. I was really, really pleased with it. I do have the Nolan rookie, but there's something about the second year cards, their first solo cards, that just kind of stand out for me. And this one's just, I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know. I don't know if he's just posing with a follow through sort of thing going on with it. But yeah, I mean, any card with Nolan Ryan in a Mets uniform, awesome.
Yeah, and I've heard that a bunch of times. Where although the year before is his rookie card, where he's on, with another player, that people prefer from a card standpoint. And I agree, the second year card, similar to Larry Bird, who actually, his second year card is actually his first solo card. We'll get into that, but I think that is a beautiful 5. I mean, just from this view here, the centering is fantastic on that one too. So it has great eye appeal.
Yeah, that was important to make sure that I was able to, because there are certain players who I will personally collect that I will pay premiums for. Nolan Ryan is one of them. Um, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up. This is something interesting that I've discovered about certain players, and I think Nolan Ryan is definitely part of this category. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but like if you compare a Ferguson Jenkins rookie card to his second year, and let's say, I think a Ferguson Jenkins rookie card, like let's go PSA 7 baseline, goes for about 200, 250. His 66 goes for 200, 250. His 67 goes for about $100. And so if you do the percentage differential between those two, it's like about a 50% drop. So there's like a 50% drop in that. Whereas I would imagine that I would think Ferguson Jenkins rookie card versus a second year would have a much more drastic drop. I would imagine the second year card would be like $20, $30. Whereas if you look at a Nolan Ryan second year card, this card's maybe worth as a 5, it's maybe worth $300-400, but generally speaking, um, a Nolan Ryan rookie in a PSA 7 is probably worth almost 10,000. I don't know, whatever the number is. The drop offs between a rookie card of an established Hall of Famer versus their second year has an 80 or 90% drop off. It's really interesting. So versus Ferguson Jenkins, who's kind of like a second ranked in the hobby world, has um, a slimmer margin. Sorry,
That
I
is
hate to go. I hate to be analytical for a second, but it was on
no,
my
I like
mind,
that.
and
I love that stuff. Love it.
it's just interesting to me that there's a bigger drop off for some of the star cards between their rookie card and second year, whereas you would expect a higher percentage drop off for the second ranked, because really, you Ferguson Jenkins is not as popular as Nolan Ryan in the hobby, and his rookie card is desired, but his second year, surprisingly, is pretty desired in in between. And when you look at the numbers,
And have you checked like the populations? Are they pretty similar as far as like the discrepancy in how how many are in the pop reports for the two?
I haven't looked that deep. I've really, honestly, I've been very basic in this research. I've only looked at comps online of what they're selling, like 130 point. I've seen on average what they sell for. And so it's just interesting to see the difference in drop off between a 68 Ryan and a 69 Ryan. It's night and day difference.
That is very interesting. Let us know in the comments what you guys think as far as maybe reasons why, or if you've noticed the same thing with other players too, as far as that gap. Love to hear different opinions and perspectives on that, because that is a very interesting take, and I like that.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, let's go on to card number 2.
Card number 2. This one I picked up through a Facebook vendor. I belong to a number of groups. One of them is it's a vintage group, and there's a guy who is selling this card in raw for about 250, and that is my Topps 1954 Willie Mays. And getting this back as a two, graded in a 2.5, was a huge thrill for me. I was expecting this to get an authenticated grade, but I was really pleased with the return. It's the oldest Willie Mays card that I own in my collection. I love the yellow backdrop, the insignia in the upper right corner, his profile shot, and an action shot all in one. 54 to me is a great design and just a great year for rookie cards. So you have like Al Kaline and Hank Aaron, and a great year. And I'm actually working right now on hopefully building the entire New York Giants team.
Nice. That is such a great card. I agree with the yellow background. I love the backs of those cards too, with the just the green and other different colors. Such an awesome back of a card there,
Yeah,
and the image on that too, where you got Willie Mays with a big smile and then taking a
oh, yeah,
swing. I mean, because there are some cards of pretty much a lot of the players, but Willie Mays, he does have some cards where he doesn't look so happy on them. Whereas this one, if you like one where he's got that big smile and everything, that's a great card. I don't have that one, but that would definitely be one that I would like to get in my collection at some point.
yeah. And I think they're still, they're reasonably priced. You can definitely find them in this low grade condition. I think the 2.5 probably goes for about 450. Um, so I mean, obviously, for anybody, for any most collectors, uh, trying to get a rookie card is completely out of reality. I couldn't afford a rookie card if I even had a chance to. So this is a great, good card to have if you can't afford the rookie. It's still reasonably priced, and I can't imagine it's going to stay steady. It's probably going to go up in the future. I mean, Willie Mays is up there with some of the big names.
Totally agree. And another example from this perspective here, It has great coloring on it. The centering looks good. So a beautiful 2.5, perfect example of buying the card, and the grade really doesn't matter on those type of cards where they
No,
just, it's all about eye
not for
appeal, and
me.
that has tremendous eye appeal.
Thank you. So,
Well, all right, let's go card number 3.
so card number 3, this one I bought at a show in right around the holidays in 2021, and this one again, kind of leaning back to Willie Mays. You can't really afford the rookie card because it's just out of reach. This player also, his rookie card is completely out of reach, but his second year again is still reasonably priced. And I bought this one raw and I sent it in for grading. That is the Fleer 1961 Bill Russell. His classified as his second year, despite the gap in time, because the basketball cards, they weren't generating between 57 and 61. They weren't generating any cards, any for any tops or Fleer. So there was a huge gap in time. So this is considered his second year.
Wow, look at that. That card
Now,
is. Whew,
if you're wondering why it's graded a 2, I'll explain. You can't really
I was
tell
thinking
from
that. Yeah.
you
I
can't
was
really
wondering.
tell from the photo. It's a real shame, but um, the reason why is there is a strong crease that goes across his name. The centering on this is unheard of. Can't this set is known for having horrible centering issues. Um, and it's a shame that this one came to crease, but again, it's I saw the guy had one in a raw condition or in raw, and I figured, you know what? I don't have a Bill Russell in my collection. I figured I need to go ahead and just go with it, and made the purchase.
What a card! So I'm definitely biased to that. Not only being a huge Celtics fan my whole life, of course I love Bill Russell. I have that card now. I have it in a. This is funny. I have it in a PSA 7. Okay, um, but I'm telling you right now, I can't see the crease from this
No,
perspective either. But your card has far better centering, and I would even say coloring than my PSA 7. I got my PSA 7 back. That card has run tremendously. I mean, when I got my PSA 7, I got it for I think it was like $500. It was a pretty big purchase at the time, but it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I also bought the inaction card from that set, and that was even less. That was like $300 for. I have that in a PSA 7 too. But now those, I mean, have run so much. But to that card there, a 2, it looks better than my 7. I'm just saying it. I mean, the crease. I'm sure you could see the crease if you look real close, but from arm's
yeah,
length or in this perspective here, it looks better than my 7. So that's a perfect example again of grades don't really matter that much when it comes to vintage cards.
no, especially cards that you're going to keep in your collection. So I mean, imagine like your sevens that you have. I imagine those cards are permanent collections. They're not moving anywhere.
No,
I mean, these cards are obviously more common than the Topps 57 rookie card, but they're just, if you want, if I'll put it this way, if you wanted to sell this, you'd have a bunch of people at your door waiting to make an offer. So
oh yeah,
while it is more common to find these cards, it's still very special.
great card. Wow, you really knocked it out of the park, man, with those 3. Unbelievable. Oh, and you know what
Uh,
else I just thought of? I love the beginning of your all your videos where you have the organ playing. It makes me feel like it takes me back to when I was a kid walking into Fenway Park, coming out from the tunnel and hearing the organ playing and batting practices happening. I get that feeling every time I watch one of your videos. So I just thought of that. Wanted to make sure
I
mentioned.
appreciate that. It's funny because I hate the movie Grease. I can't stand it. But uh, and I mean that's like the, I guess, the main song from Grease. I don't even know the name of it, to be honest with you. I just I know Grease is catchy. So, and what better to hear it through an organ? Because when you hear an organ like that, you think of clean cut grass, hot dogs, and yeah, and just the great action of baseball.
Yeah, I didn't even put together Greece or anything like that. I just thought Fenway Park, right? That's like what popped in my head when I hear it. So anyway,
Well,
again,
I'm glad that's the impression.
channel. It's a good idea too. All right, so let's move on to the three cards. Now you sent me these ahead of time. The three cards that you'd like to add to your collection in the future. Let me pull up Card Ladder here, and I can pull up the first one. One sec. All right. So the first one you sent me was, let's stick with Mr. Russell, the 1957 Bill Russell Topps rookie card. Now that's let's get a more realistic example here. 1 second.
Sure. Let's find a PSA 1. That's
Yeah,
realistic.
that's what I'm thinking. Yep. Let's go PSA 1 because this is an expensive card.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at them recently, just, kind of there was one guy who was selling the one for like about $4,000. It was tempting. I'm not gonna lie, it was tempting, but yeah, it's a lot of money to throw away.
And what I have pulled up here, this is a PSA 1 example. This one, this card here sold on August 31st, and it sold for $3,400. So that gives you an example of how expensive the card is. In a PSA
Yeah.
1, you're looking at over $3,000 for this card.
Which actually is quite cheap. That would be more in my wheelhouse. Just saying that, I don't know what it is. I think the thought of just having a Bill Russell rookie card in your collection, there's I don't know. I can't really come up with a word for it. I try to psych myself out of potentially just splurging, but because of the fact that it's when at the end of the day it's a card, it's a baseball card or a basketball card. So um, I don't know. It's hard to really put into words. I know at some point maybe I'll be able to make a trade for it or do something, but right now, I guess if you are going to invest in a Bill Russell rookie card, now is the time to do it.
Have you seen any like raw copies of this card for sale at shows, or is it mostly a card that's already been graded?
When I was at the National, I saw one that was raw and it was in great shape. And the one thing is that they'll ask for a lot of money for the raw cards because dealers probably don't want to feel like they're losing out. So they don't want to feel like they're losing out potentially on money that they can earn on a raw card because the person who buys it is likely going to grade it. And so, yeah, you'll find that card raw sometimes, but you'll find it for a premium.
Got it. Yep, that's a card that is definitely on my list too. And let's move to the second card now. This card, I do not have to pull up Card Ladder because I'm lucky enough. I do have a copy of this card already. This is we mentioned it a little bit earlier, the 1980 Topps Larry Bird Magic Johnson rookie card that also features Dr. J. And
Beautiful.
let me show here, get a better screen there. This is a copy I have.
Wow.
Excuse my cat who decided to walk up in front of me there. All right.
Is that
we got
that's a 6?
yeah, it's
Or
a
is
PSA.
that
Yep.
PSA 6?
And
Okay.
I actually, I mean, I'm such a Larry Bird fan that I actually have two copies. I have, and I'll tell you why. Let me pull this up here. All right. So I also have a PSA 8.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So why the 6?
So if you look at the 6, you may know this about these, but a lot of them, I don't know the percentage, but a lot have a print line right on the lower right-hand corner there under Johnson, Magic Johnson.
Yep.
It's like a black horizontal line.
Yes.
When I bought this one, this was a decent while back. I bought this online. Like I mentioned, that's where I do all my buying. Now, one of the problems is you sometimes, it wasn't a great picture. and I didn't know it had the print line. Now, it doesn't make it a card that I don't want, or it's still a great card with the print line. But a little while after that, I had it in my head like, hey, I really would like one without the print line if I could, and I kind of went for it. I went for the PSA 8. So eventually, I may look to sell or trade the 6 because I'm not really a doubles guy, even with my favorite players or my like Larry Bird's the basketball player I collect. But I'm still not really a doubles guy, so I only really want long-term one copy. So I haven't done it yet because it's just I have such a hard time selling cards that. But eventually, I probably will try to sell the 6 and just
Is
keep
it a
that
matter of just having being difficult to let go?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I know I could easily just throw it up on eBay and sell it very easily, but yeah, it's just the emotional attachment. Like, I don't want to sell it, but I
Yeah.
should. At some point, I definitely should. I just haven't yet. So I still have the 2 copies of that card. It's my
Well,
favorite basketball card ever.
if you decide to sell it, let me know.
All right. I will. I
'Cause
will.
I'll definitely be an interested party.
Okay. And the thing with this card, it's not a rare card. If there's a lot of these out there when you compare it to some of the other, I still consider it a vintage card from 1980. But other than if you're looking at real high grades, PSA 9s, even in PSA 8, there's a lot of them out there. 7, 6s. There's thousands that you could have, and the price has come down a lot on these. I mean, not if you look out, 3+ years, but if you look back even a couple years ago, like these were selling for probably like double of what they sell for now. So I think it's probably a good time if you're in the market for that card. It's probably a good time to make a move on that card. There's a lot out there, and the price I think is in a decent spot compared to where it has been. So
Well, yeah, there's definitely you're right. There are definitely a lot out there, and that's actually I was going to make a mention that is one card that I will not buy raw,
right,
because it's my again just education, but there was a reprint, and the reprint has no doesn't from my understanding there's not much of a distinguishment between the two. But again, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't done the proper research, so that's one card that if I were to buy, I wouldn't buy that raw.
agreed, totally, yep. And the last one is unfortunately a card I don't have, so I can't show it, but it is a awesome card. 1952 Topps Willie Mays. Boom, there it is. All right.
Nice, nice.
So there we are. PSA 1 Willie Mays 52 Topps. Beautiful card.
That's actually not bad. 2,300. I mean, I was expecting it to be more.
Yeah, it's sold.
It's
Yeah,
fascinating to me. You have that, and you compare that to the Bill Russell, which sold for about 3,500.
yeah. This
It's
one sold on
interesting.
eBay. Sold on eBay on August 10th. And I'll tell you, this is a very. I mean, it's got creases and so forth, but look at the centering on that.
Impeccable.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
find it. I don't think there's. I mean, would you agree that baseball cards are more popular than basketball cards?
Yes. Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it's going to depend on the age of the person.
Let's say vintage.
Vintage. Well, for me, yes. Vintage baseball is that's my favorite type of cards. But yeah, you know what? You're right. Baseball cards still are the most popular. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think because baseball cards. Because I think that's baseball cards was what started it all. Essentially,
Right.
you go back
Right.
in time to the T206 era. But my point is that what I was getting at was it's interesting that it sold for about 2,500, and then you had the Bill Russell sell for about 3,500, and yeah, it's just an interesting contrast there between prices because you'd think that Willie Mays would go for a lot more.
You're right. And I think some of it. Well, if you look at the population, 286,
Yeah,
and I believe the Bill Russell was. I think it was only like 30 in
you know
a
what?
PS.
Actually, this brings a good point because there's multiple. There's Bowman as well, so there's a little more variety in what kind of card you want from for Willie Mays. Whereas Bill Russell just has that one rookie card. So I guess that factor has to get thrown in there.
Yeah, and there'd be people again, I don't consider this Willie Mays' rookie card, but 52
No,
tops is so powerful that it almost you can put it on that same plane as far as like pricing as a rookie card. So
it
yeah.
has that Mickey Mantle effect ultimately, because I mean that's the card that everybody recognizes. So because Mickey Mantle's 52 gets recognized, then all the other Hall of Famers kind of get a nice little lift as well.
Yep. And I believe this card was also on Mike Junkwax Heroes list as well as one of the cards. So you have competition, and I
I'm
think this
surprised.
would be on my list.
I didn't think so. This was on his want list.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very. I'll
Surprised.
double check, but I'm pretty sure this was one on his want list. Yep.
I figured he'd be going after like some of the Red Sox, like a Ted Williams rookie card. Unless he has one, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's a good Mike, let us know in the comments. Let us know what the deal is here. But how could I ever argue with this being a card that someone wants? I mean, I think everyone
No,
wants
no,
this.
no. Of course,
Yeah.
no. That's absolutely. I mean, I'd imagine it'd be on a lot of people's want lists. I mean, if you were to find one around, I mean, just again, owning one, game changer completely in a personal collection.
Yeah, no matter what your intent is, I know from your channel that you're a huge Willie Mays fan. From your family and everything, I think you said your dad was a big Willie Mays fan too.
Yeah,
Or was it something like
my
that, right?
grandfather as a kid went to the Polo Grounds a number of times. I want to say he was there for the Bobby Thompson shot, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Um, yeah, so it's funny because I work in the city and I drive by that area almost every day when I drive home, where the Polo Grounds used to sit, and so it's kind of it kind of gives you goosebumps a little bit, because it's almost like you're driving through history.
Well, if you can see, I got the Mickey Mantle shirt on. That Bobby Thompson shot changed the course of so much history. If you think about if he never hit that, the Giants don't make the World Series, and then Willie Mays never hits that fly ball that Mickey Mantle steps on the drain and ruins his knee, and who knows what things would have happened after that. But
That's a slippery slope, honestly,
yeah,
because then you have to include Joe DiMaggio in the conversation because Joe DiMaggio knew about that drain that was out in the outfield, and from what I understand, he did not tell Mickey Mantle about it. Because I know, because Mickey Mantle was coming up, and he was he was the exciting player that everybody was thinking he was going to be the next big thing, and Joe DiMaggio was not ready to give up his man. No pun intended. Give up his mantle.
I'm not a DiMaggio guy. I respect him as a player, but so many stories that he was like one story that I can never get out of my head is that after he was retired, anytime he was introduced or anything like that, he made sure that they called him the greatest living player. Stuff like that, where it's just obviously he had a huge ego and what a player, all time great. But yeah, I'm not a big I don't have any DiMaggio cards really for that reason. They're expensive, and it's not something I would connect with, and want to spend a lot of money on his cards just because I have a bad feeling about him. I don't, he's probably a nice guy, but just the stories I've heard, that's the way the hobby works. You gotta really love a player's story for me to spend big money on him,
Oh
and
yeah,
for that reason, I wouldn't.
no, it's yeah. I mean, there's certain players that I wouldn't go out of my way for unless the price was right, but yeah, I mean, there are certain players I think we'd all pay a premium for, depending on who it is. So I'm with you there. I don't think I'd go out of my way to spend thousands of dollars on a DiMaggio card.
But you know what? People that probably saying, "Well, you collect Mickey Mantle cards." I'm sure you could make a case that he made he made some bad choices in his life too. So it's all relative. It's all opinion and who you like and who you want to collect. So
And there's
all right,
nothing wrong with that because that's just there's no right or wrong for collecting.
it's a popularity contest. I always say people wonder like, well, why is this player, he wasn't as good, but his cards sell for higher prices. Well, because that player is more popular, and that's all it is. That's really what determines prices and the rarity. So, yep. All right, Sammy. Let's the last part I like to do here, if possible. Mike, Junk Wax Hero referred you, and if you have anyone that you could recommend that I could try to set one of these up with in the future, I would really appreciate it.
So there's a new YouTuber, content creator who, young kid, I want to say he's 19, 20 years old. I mean, I wish at that age that I could be as enthusiastic about vintage, but at that time I was chasing girls in school. So that so his name, he goes by the YouTube name Ballpark Memories. And yeah, really, really knowledgeable, really smart, knows a lot about the hobby, gives great advice, and he's new, and definitely want to be able to build up his sub count and get him more involved.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. And I thought you were going to say the one I actually have scheduled next for next week is with Dom of Staven Sports Cards. I know he's a young guy and he does vintage too. So I was thinking you might have you were going to say his name, but I'm glad you mentioned another one. So now I have another one on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he sells at shows with his dad, and he actually inspired me because I think you and I are very much alike in the sense that we tend to hold on to our collections really, really strongly. It's so apprehensive on selling our cards. He actually will hold on to certain cards and sell some of them over time to be able to reinvest in maybe older cards that he really wants. And so I've been doing that. I mean, I've been hoarding and holding onto cards for so long that I've decided, I'm like, you know what, that's a good idea because I have like a 65 Brooks Robinson, and I'm not a huge Brooks Robinson collector. I just got it because I was building a 65 set, but I'm getting out of the whole set building phase. So I think it's a good opportunity to start moving some stuff in order to reinvest into some older cards that I would really want to have. And so for that reason, I'm going to nominate Ballpark Memories.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate it. And Sammy, I look forward to keep watching your videos as they come out. You had a contest going too. Did that end?
Yeah, that one ended. I'm getting close to 900 subs, so I want to be able to do. I was going to do like a kind of like a off the cuff giveaway for 900, but the big one I want to do, hopefully by the end of the year, is if I hit 1,000, do a live stream, give away a bunch of prizes. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I missed that last one, but if you ever do another one where it's video responses, I'll make sure to get in on that.
Awesome.
All right, Sammy. Well, thanks again for doing this. I really appreciate it. And if you do make it to the National and I'm able to too, I would look forward to meeting you. That'd be great.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Adam. I appreciate you having me, man.
All right. Thanks again.